Good morning and welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Sunday morning live Zoom and in-person morning service. And we're being a little festive this morning. If you might want to look around with the camera a little bit, but we're tomorrow is Halloween and we're celebrating today because it's our harvest party. So we're all excited to be wearing orange or costumes, and there's some pretty unusual costumes here. And Lila forgot the memo though. She's just wearing her normal harness. But you're all welcome here, and wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you're welcome here. We know that there are many paths to God, but they all lead to oneness and love. So you were in the perfect place this morning. We'd like to begin by reminding everyone that our purpose is love, and our vision is embracing all and serving with love while awakening to the one. If you would read our receptivity statement along with me. I am here by divine appointment. Something I am about to hear applies to my life. I am open, receptive, and willing to explore the possibilities. So this morning, we have our musician is Tuck Wilson. And he describes himself as writing and singing songs about life, love, and skiing, living in a ski town, right? Of course, he has this one and the one up in Idaho, and started in Vermont, right, in Delaware on the East Coast, and he just takes a break going down to Santa Cruz. So, but this morning, he's here with us in Tahoe on this festive morning, and so we're really grateful to have him here. And there's snow arriving this week, so you can blame Tuck. He called for the snow, and we'll be glad. But we're glad. We need the water. So, welcome, Tuck Wilson.
Thank you. I don't know how well this song fits with the message of the day, but Reverend Pam told me that we were going to be talking about giving, and that was the theme. And I thought immediately, this is one of my earlier songs that I wrote while I was in college, and it's about somebody I met my freshman year whose life revolved totally around giving. He showed up on campus a few weeks into the school year, and immediately I heard people going, "Hey, Eli's here. Eli's back. You know, where's he going to be?" Nickerson 208, Nickerson being one of the dormitories. And like immediately everybody on campus knew that Eli was there. Of course, I'm a freshman. I have no idea who this guy is, right? But the people who are juniors and seniors, they've hung out with him before. He traveled around college campuses, and I don't know how widely, if it was just New England or all through the country. And he would just show up, and word would spread, and you'd gather, and just he was a bull session facilitator, if you will. But he'd just get an interesting conversation going, and people loved it, you know. And so he'd ask somebody, you know, what do you think about this? And they'd expound a little bit, and he'd, you know, not in an argumentative way, but in a way of, you know, have you ever read so-and-so? Or have you thought about this? Or, you know, you would enjoy reading that, and just kind of expanding everybody's stuff. And 3 days later, he was gone, you know, stuck out his thumb and headed off to another campus. But wherever he went, somebody always found a bed for him. Students would bring him food, and he had a shirt, a pair of jeans, socks, and shoes. I assume he had underwear. Never checked that one. But, I mean, that was it, you know, sum total of his possessions. And so he gave to the students in terms of this wonderful discussion for 3 days, and they gave him back everything that he needed. And that was a lifestyle that was so foreign to anything I'd ever seen. I just felt compelled the next year to write this song. Well, there's no plane I gotta catch, just bumming a match, and I keep on living free. Now all I own is myself, but there's nobody else can make a claim on me. 'cause all I have is a quarter, a dirty shirt and jeans. But if you need them worse than I, take them by all means. And now the ticket to freedom is to swallow your pride. Just stick out your thumb, catch a ride somewhere you've never seen. Might be Denver today, or next week San Francisco Bay, or have you ever been to New Orleans? And all I have is a quarter, a dirty shirt and jeans. But if you need them worse than I, take them by all means. You know, some call me a parasite, and maybe they're right, but I wouldn't trade nothing with those who think they've got it made. Then again, well, I've got nothing to trade. Thank you.
Well, our practitioner this morning is Brenda Heldoorn, and she's the perfect person for this morning because she is someone who has an amazingly prosperous life, and she really gives from giving. I mean, that is who she is. And so we're really grateful that she's one of our practitioners, and I'd like to welcome her, Brenda Heldoorn.
Good morning. I know. So out of character and so much fun. Tuck, that was the perfect song this morning. Thank you. Yeah. So this morning's sacred reading is from Eric Butterworth's book, Spiritual Economics. And this is an amazing book. And from time to time, we teach a class on this book as well. But you don't have to take a class to pick it up and read it. It is astonishing the wisdom that's in it. So, life is not lived from outside in, but from inside out. Unless we understand this, we miss the whole meaning of life. The purpose of life is not acquisition, but unfoldment and personal development. Even in the teaching of metaphysics, there has been a tremendous swing towards this revolutionary attitude towards money and things. Thus, many books and courses by teachers of truth emphasize how-to techniques for demonstrating money and possessions and jobs and success. The constant theme is get, 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 get. Just hold the right thought and you can get anything you want. And at the grossest level of materialism is reached when the truth groups are led in singing prosperity songs in which the refrain affirms money, 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 a sad degradation of a beautiful spiritual process. The contemporary trend towards materialism is attributable to, in large part, to the sad neglect of the Church of teaching the law of giving. Religious institutions have failed miserably in this respect, undoubtedly because they have been preoccupied with their own need to receive support. Preachers have talked of giving as returning to God a portion of one's income. Churchgoers have been lulled into a pious acceptance of this form of idealism. However, it completely skirts the issue of inward-rooted giving, as it deals with an anemic God of the skies who bargains with us for a giving return. Jesus said, "Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow," from Matthew 6:28. By nature's law, the lily grows and unfolds from a bulb to a flower. It is a discernible unfoldment from within outward. There is no obligation for the flower to return a portion of its fragrance and color and form to nature. There is no way it could do this even if it wanted to do so, because life is a forward, growing, unfolding experience. Don't miss the implication of this homely illustration. Your life is God's gift to you. What you do with it is your gift to God. The most important aspect of John 3:16 is, "For God so loved the world that he gave." God is the divine givingness of the universe, and you are created in the image and likeness of this divine givingness. You cannot make any sense out of life or realize the free flow of substance in your experience until you begin to see yourself as a giver. It may mean a complete turnaround in your approach to life, where you think give instead of get. In your spiritual quest, you are seeking to establish yourself in an intuitive relationship with divine flow. You can never really achieve this level of consciousness until giving becomes the main thrust of your life. And when it does, when you discover the wonder of giving, you become unblushingly an incurable giver. Meditate long on this point, for it is one of the most important keys of the prosperity law. So join with me in prayer. Coming back to realizing, to knowing, to remembering that there is one source, one ultimate first cause of all that is. And the nature of this one is love. The nature of this one is the divine givingness. For all that is from this one source. The answer to its longing is the givingness of itself to creation. And so I recognize and remember that each one of us is the gift given by the divine giver. Life itself is the gift. And in receiving this gift, and in stepping forward fully into life, I realize that the nature of the one is givingness, and therefore it is my nature. My nature is to give to life, to live it fully, to be present, to be love, to hold peace, to offer beauty, truth, and joy. Gratitude for the givingness of life is the absolute energy of abundance. It is the divine flow, the circulation, the in-breath and the out-breath. I let this truth take root in my soul, for it becomes my guide. It informs the direction of my thinking, and it gives into life more of life, more love, more truth, beauty, and joy. And I give thanks for this understanding, for this teaching, for the wisdom that comes forth into my life from innumerable sources. The wisdom that's been shared with us from sages and from teachers and from writings that come into our awareness and bring us more fully into life and living. So I give thanks for all of this. I release my word into the law, knowing that it always returns fulfilled, and that I am blessed beyond measure. If this is true for me, this is true for each one here. And together we say, and so it is. And I'd like to welcome Tuck back.
You all know this song. So gosh, if we're going to think about what we'd like to give, this is what I'd like to give. I think I'm biting off a little more than I can chew here, but I'd like to build the world a home and furnish it with a love. Grow apple trees and honey bees and snow white turtle doves. I'd like to teach the world to sing in perfect harmony. I'd like to hold it in my arms and keep it company. I'd like to see the world for once all standing hand in hand, as voices echo through the hills for peace throughout the land. Yes, I'd like to teach the world to sing. Want to join in? Ready? I'd like to teach the world to sing in perfect harmony. I'd like to hold it in my arms and keep it company. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a big ambition, but it's a good one. I'll go for that. Well, all of this month we've been talking about the infinite flow of abundance and of good, including money, and that it's available to us. And we realize that we're in the midst of that infinite flow, that we can learn to direct that flow. And if if it's not flowing, well, we've got to look and see whether, do we have our foot on the hose? We just take it off. Or maybe there's something in the hose that's blocking it, and it's probably our own belief that's limiting the flow. So also today we're going to talk about how it's up to us to learn how to receive from the divine giver and to assimilate and release the infinite flow, because we can only receive as much divine flow as we can embody. Right? So this week we're considering how to share it fairly, and and we can be grateful to share a slice of our pie, because there is always plenty more. Spirit can always make the pie bigger. It's an infinite size pie, right? So we always have plenty to share. So let's go over the first of those three things, receiving. Now, the universe is never depleted because the source of all good is infinite. We can learn to we can limit our experience of the infinite flow, but it's always flowing. It's full on. And if we're not receiving, it's because we've narrowed it down, and we're only going to take, it's a big gusher, and we've got this little tiny cup that we're accepting, or a bowl, or maybe a barrel, or maybe we learn to have our arms wide open, right? And so the key to learning how to receive more is expanding what we call our mental equivalent, right? So what we conceive of, it's like the little model of what we think is possible. And so whatever our model is, however much we think we deserve, that's how much we get. And as we grow what we think we deserve, we experience more. The Spirit's always saying, what's your order? It's just like a restaurant. That whatever we ordered, that's what we get, right? And so we need to expand our self-concept to have more of that divine flow. Now, and embody that divine good. We will have increased our mental equivalent. Now, another important reason that we want to open our arms and hearts wide to our good is that our receiving doesn't take away from anyone else, right? There isn't just one finite pie to be divvied up. the infinite flow can just make that pie bigger and bigger and bigger. And in fact, my success enhances your success, and your success advances his success, and so on and so on. So it's a synergy of, because we're each a part of God, each supporting God. We each lift each other up. Now, we've talked a lot about the flow over this month, but I want to talk about assimilation. And there's a great quote from Ernest Holmes. He says, "The law of our being is a law of perfect assimilation, elimination, and circulation. A knowledge of our oneness with the God life is all about and within us. It will heal when we recognize its presence and activity within us." Right? So that's that natural circulation. And so think about this. When we breathe, we retain some air. We retain that oxygen and use it in our body, send it through our blood. And when we eat, we retain some of the food. We convert it to energy, to new cells, muscles, bones, and we also release what we no longer need anymore, right? That waste product. Phil Lott, in his book, Money is My Friend, he has a great quote. He says, "If you have the ability to save regularly, it is an indication that you are at least as intelligent as the squirrel who stores away nuts for the winter." Right? So investing ourselves, that's what we do with our savings and investments. But if we don't value ourselves or don't value money even, maybe we don't even think we have enough money coming in the first place, we're going to get rid of it as soon as it comes in, perhaps, right? We have this idea of lack. There's not much coming in, and it's already gone, spoken for before it goes out. Someone called this money diarrhea. Not too pleasant, but there's a lot of Americans that are living paycheck to paycheck. And there was a person who was living paycheck to paycheck, and they came into Science of Mind. They started taking the classes. They thought, this is great. I'm going to do a prayer, spiritual mind treatment for more money. And she got a new job and with a substantial pay increase. This is really exciting. This stuff works. And soon, though, she discovered that she was living again from paycheck to paycheck, just with bigger numbers. And she became aware that money was not the solution. It was a change in consciousness that really needed to happen, right? Now, according to a June 2021 survey by PYMNTS, or Payments, and the Lending Club of about 28,000 Americans, 54% of Americans say they live paycheck to paycheck, right? And almost 40% of high earners, this is people that earn $100,000 or more a year, say they live that way. 40%, right? Now, there's an acronym called HENRYS, H-E-N-R-Y-S, and it's an acronym for High Earning, Not Rich Yet. And these are people that struggle to balance their spending and savings habits, right? They may be juggling school loans, mortgages, auto and credit card debt. Maybe they have a child or two. But they also might be experiencing that lifestyle creep. When one standard of living rises as fast or even faster than their income, right? Living paycheck to paycheck essentially makes them especially vulnerable to inflation, right? And a lot of people are complaining about that because they were on the edge already, and then the inflation took them there. So there's some kind of shift that we need to look at. Some financial advisors recommend that people follow a 50-30-20 rule. And this was, there's a slide for that. And this was made popular by Elizabeth Warren, right? And a lot of other financial advisors as well. But she recommends that 50% of your after-tax income is used for your needs. This is essential things like housing, food, transportation, utilities, those things that you really absolutely need, right? Then the 30% is for your wants, discretionary items. These are not the same as your needs, right? People have to learn that sometimes. And so these are things like for entertainment, like your Netflix subscription, right? Your vacations, eating out, or maybe a fancier car or a bigger house, or, whatever those things are that you don't need just to live, right? Those are choices we make. And then 20% is for your long-term savings and investments. So this could be your emergency cash reserve, your retirement, debt retirement, college savings, all of those things that you're planning for the future and giving yourself, you're investing in yourself, right? From that divine flow. That's your assimilation part. That's the part that you're retaining. Now, the third part of the law of circulation is release. I'd like to talk about the shadow side of release first, which is when we hold on to something and don't release. This leads to stagnation. Perfect example, the Dead Sea. It's a salt lake that's between Israel and Jordan, right? It's the lowest water surface on the earth. It's 47 miles long, and it has a maximum width of 10 miles. It is 1,000 feet deep. It's fed mainly by the Jordan River, but it has no outlet. The water accumulates there and gradually evaporates, leaving behind the salts and whatever else, sediments and so forth, that were in the water. It is 6 times as salty as the ocean. It's so salty that the lake contains no life. And even when you take saltwater ocean fish and drop them in there, they soon die. There's not enough oxygen. They can't breathe. There's too much salt. So we have to keep releasing that infinite flow to keep a healthy circulation going. You know, we need to receive, assimilate, and release. Okay? Now, remember, when you're releasing, that there's always more flow coming. Right? So we don't need to hang on because, I'm going to need this someday. Well, we've got an opportunity to share with some people through the Winter Warmth and Wellness. And so people have brought in, extra socks and coats and toiletries and all kinds of things that people might need. But we know that there's always more coming. So now there are 2 forms of financial release I'd like to talk about today. Now, the first one is spending. Okay, so we want to use money and recognizing that it's a money exchange to release that infinite flow to, and we choose the services and the things that we want to purchase. And we want to spend wisely using that 50-30-20 rule, how we spend our money. And while we're doing it, though, it's important to be grateful for what we choose to receive in exchange. It might be a great meal or food or clothes, clean water, heat, electricity, and there's even this thing called taxes we spend our money on. But what they really mean, those taxes, that is what we pay for the police and for parks and for road maintenance and for schools and all of these things that we really want to have high quality schools, for instance, right? That's what those taxes are for. And so we can bless that and be grateful for it as well. Now, the second form of giving, which is also donating or tithing, it's described in the tithing is described in the Old Testament in the book of Leviticus. And it's a form of taxation that was required of Hebrews to fund their theocracy. Remember, the religion and the government were one. And so they had to contribute a mandatory 10% of their produce in their herds of animals. Now, this is nothing new. Tithing had been practiced almost universally throughout the ancient world. But consider that the book of Leviticus has a lot of other mandatory laws about diet and prohibiting work on the Sabbath. And, an infraction, there, even in the Bible, it talks about someone being stoned to death for gathering harvest on the Sabbath. That's pretty dire results, right? So in this day and age, in the 21st century, we are not so, we don't follow those strict arbitrary laws in that same way. So many religions still require or recommend, at least, that their followers contribute that first 10% of their income to their church or their synagogue, right? Some people really have difficulty with this, feeling that it's an obligation to donate a fixed 10% to their church. Is this still a good practice? Now, the basic idea of tithing back 10% of one's income to the divine flow, to the source, to recognize that source in gratitude, is a basically good idea. And I'm not saying we should get rid of that. It's just as a farmer keeps the best 10% of their seed, of their produce, to plant for next year's crop. You have to reinvest for for the future, all right? And so when you're looking and you're doing your budgeting, you might want to plan that 10%, probably out of your discretionary 30% funds. But it's something. But it's not a rigid contract with God. It's not a rigid contract about where it needs to go. It is not a contract where we give back to God in order to get back the next year. It is about the givingness. We can't outgive God, right? God is infinite flow. We have the infinite flow available to us. And so we're just giving a portion of it to things that we think are wonderful, right? Wherever we find them. Now, Jesus, in his teachings in the New Testament, he said that I have come not to throw out the law, but to fulfill the law. And so he, one of the things that he critiqued was the Pharisees, and they were making in this chapter they were talking about in Luke 11:42, and the Pharisees said, they were talking about how great they were because they gave all these donations and they were exactly measuring how much they gave, down to the fine tooth comb. And this is what Jesus said in Luke. Woe to you, Pharisees, because you give God 1/10 of your mint, rue, and all other kinds of garden herbs, but you neglect justice and the love of God. You should have practiced the latter without leaving the former undone. All right? So think about this. So he's saying that if you don't support equal justice and the love of God, if you're not giving to all people, then this is, you're forgetting the whole purpose about giving, right? It's more important than calculating an exact tenth for our tithe. Jesus was saying that we should give with love and seek to treat all people justly with equitable distribution of resources. We should take care of our family, all right? We should feed our children before we give 10% to the center, right? So we have to really think about it's the giving spirit and knowing that there's infinite flow coming in behind us. Our fellow beings are just like us, a part of that one life that is God, all right? And so it's important to give to the people and the institutions that inspire us and support our spiritual growth. Very important. But it is also essential that we financially support our families, pay our bills, and lovingly sponsor people and institutions that lift up humanity to a higher level of existence, right? Basically, we want to give our whole tithe. All right? The 10%, the whole tithe is our whole self. So when we look at that 10% tithe, it's like training wheels. Say this is like the target that you want to hit. And so, like when you're practicing in archery, you've got the bullseye in. So you learn your technique of practicing with the bow and arrow, and you can hit that bullseye after lots and lots of practice. And then when you go out someplace else, you're able to hit the target that you want. And so it's the same thing by having those training wheels. We learn to ride the bicycle with the training wheels, and then eventually, hopefully, you don't want to be 12 years old with your training wheels on the bike. You take the training wheels off and you're able to ride the bike and go whipping around with your friends and go wherever you want, right? So if we're following that 50, 30, 20 rule, then that 10% goal will probably come out of our 30%, right? It's a choice of how we're spending our income. It's a value. And we're choosing to support our spiritual community. We're choosing to feed people that have little or no food today rather than going out and having a meal in a fancy restaurant, right? We can feed one person or we can feed a lot of people, right? So it's a choice. What are our values? On the other hand, we do occasionally want to go out and have that really nice meal to celebrate or what have you. There are also people that have so much wealth beyond their essential needs that they can choose to give generously to create a world that works for everyone. J.K. Rowling, her net worth was over $1 billion at one point, and it went down below $1 billion. Why? Because she decided to give $160 million away to charities, to causes that she thought were important. She wanted to give. That would be a great, that's a great goal to be able to give away $160 million, Just think of all the good that we can do. But this is about that givingness. This is a part of what supports life. And this is the whole tithe. And it's giving of our whole selves and not just the money, right? We talk about tithing our time, talent, and treasure. Kahlil Gibran in his classic The Prophet said, "You give but little when you give of your possessions. It is when you give of yourself that you truly give. Give as in yonder valley the myrtle breathes its fragrance into space." It's like that lily that was unfolding from the reading this morning. It gives because it's been given so much by Spirit. So what we'd like to talk about, and what Eric Butterworth talks about, is the concept of conscious giving. Right? So we're consciously aware of the flow. We're consciously giving. We're consciously giving of ourselves. And in our modern society, we allow individuals more freedom to choose how to live their lives without the Old Testament's rigid rules and consequences. But nevertheless, there are still many benefits of giving. Most notably, you don't receive if you don't give, right? So these benefits. So it's like when you don't do meditation, or you don't do yoga, or you don't go to the gym, you don't eat healthy food, you don't get the benefits of doing those activities. And so when you give, you get all of the benefits back of that giving. It's also when we have to give so the infinite flow doesn't stagnate. All right, we don't want it to have no outlet. We find a wonderful, perfect outlet. And finally, giving is an opportunity to continue the flow of money to benefit the world. Right? As we give, we learn to trust in our divine source. Brene Brown, in her book, The Gifts of Imperfection, she says, "The real mystery is faith, not fear, not ghosts and goblins. It's where we find the courage to believe in what we cannot see and the strength to let go of our fear of uncertainty." My water's here. Yeah. And so when we have this trust in the infinite flow always being available to us, it changes our lives. And, when my first spouse and I, we were living in Carson City, and we had bought this perfect, beautiful home. It's about a block from Brenda's house is right now. But about less than a year after we bought that house and moved in, I was laid off. And my husband was, self-employed. He had good clients, but he had his big client at that time was 2 months late paying their invoice. And so our cash was winding down. I wasn't working at the time. I was trying to do something new. And so, we were really having to pinch our pennies. And so I was in practitioner class at the time. And so, I said, okay, I wrote a spiritual mind treatment because we needed to have abundance to eat and to furnish our home, right? And so on the top of the list was a sofa. Now, our living room was this beautiful room that had a view right down Washoe Valley that we could look out at the lake. You could just sit on the floor in the nice carpet and enjoy it, but it would be nice to have something to sit on other than our kitchen chairs. So I had always tithed since I was a child, but regular giving was somehow new and uncomfortable to my husband, Pat. So especially when our cash flow was so strapped, right? Nothing else was working. So he agreed, let's pray for our family's abundance. So we read that treatment together. Well, less than a week later, one of his clients paid an invoice. This is great. All right, perhaps there is something having to do with that spiritual mind treatment, Pat thought. So he wasn't comfortable tithing a full 10%. So he said, let's just try it. We'll just do a 1% tithe. So he found a charity that he wanted to donate to and gave some to the center at the time. And we caught up on the bills, and And we set aside $100 to save towards the sofa. Right? Now, it would take a while to save up for a sofa, at $100, unless we wanted some more student furniture. We already had enough of that student furniture, what we did have. But the next Saturday, Pat was driving down 395 on the way to Reno, and he got to Mountain Rose Highway, and off to the left, there was a man standing there with this whole bunch of furniture. And it was, what's this? So he went on over, and it turns out that there was this little ski lodge up near Ski Tavern or Mount Rose, somewhere in that area, and they were redecorating. So they had these gorgeous sofas out there and plus some other stuff that were just sitting there on the side of the road waiting for someone to come purchase them, a big garage sale. So he was the first one to get there that day, and so sure enough, they were love seat size, pretty heavy. They were ski lodge looking furniture, but there were two that looked like they were brand new, and there was one that just had a little tiny tear. So this looks good, and so what was the price? $35 sold. 3 times 35 was $105. So we came up with the other $5, and we had 3 sofas. So we piled up the 2 that would fit into his old Land Rover and came home. And he drives into the driveway at our house, and he comes in, and he's got this big smile. And he says, "Oh, you've got to come out and see this." Okay, I stopped whatever I was doing and go outside. And he proudly showed me these sofas, right? Just perfect for our home. And he went back and got the other ones. But when we brought the sofas, we brought them in, so excited, put them down in the living room, and sat down, and we looked out at our view in our sofas, right? When I Divine Source had taken care of us, he had given. He had trusted Spirit, and when he trusted, the invoices got paid. And so it felt good to be in the divine flow. It felt good for Pat to be supporting his family. And I still feel prosperous and supported by Spirit when I see those sofas. So, as we learn to trust that we are in the midst of the infinite divine flow, our lives transform. As we learn to receive that infinite good with our arms and hearts wide open, we learn to retain and assimilate some of the good to support our physical and financial well-being, and then release the infinite flow to its next stopover by wise spending or by giving of our whole self. When we practice generous, conscious giving, we support our own lives and the health of our spiritual communities and other institutions that lift up all of humanity to a higher level of existence. It's the consciousness of giving from infinite flow to God. Let's take this to prayer. And so, as in this moment, we are still, we sense that infinite flow all around us. We feel that we are loved deeply, just as we are. And as we nestle down into that flow, feeling so supported, we let our thoughts dwell not on the breath or the lack of breath as we breathe in and out, but on that which breathes. It is that infinite life of Spirit that is breathing us. Sense the freedom of this God life flowing in and out of you. Feel that joy of living when we know that we are one with God. That flow is unimpaired. Our lives are filled, full to overflowing. We have plenty to share, and we do with gratitude and with love. We spend wisely, knowing that there is enough. And we don't need to have more than, we don't need to overspend or even underspend. but it is in accordance with that divine flow. And so we're able to right size and balance our lives and live with plenty. And we lovingly and gratefully give back to our spiritual center and to those people and organizations that lift us up spiritually and lift up the whole world. And together, as we reach out arm in arm, hand in hand, together, we lift up the whole world. And everywhere throughout this world, as that consciousness of giving from the divine infinite flow ripples out everywhere, each person one by one is lifted up and stands tall and strong and is there to support the next person and the next and the next. And it is done with love and with joy and gratitude and deep abiding peace. The pie need not be divided where there's not enough. We grow the pie because it is from that infinite source. And so we share our abundance. And that supports the love and the peace and humankind living together in harmony and understanding. This is the truth of who we are as individuals, as a spiritual community, and as the humanity of humankind. We live in love and divine abundance, and it is good. And so I release these words knowing that it is already done, and even greater unto the ends of the world. And so it is, and so we let it be. So I'd like to welcome Tuck back for one more song.
I really enjoyed that. That Elizabeth Warren, she's a smart cookie, isn't she? And I think I learned where I went wrong at an early age. I should have aspired to be able to give away $160 million. That was my problem. But the first musical I ever saw was a local production of Annie, Get Your Gun. And there's a song in there that I have always liked because there's a saying that I think is very important. The secret to happiness is not having what you want. It's learning to want what you have. Got no mansion, I got no yacht. Still I'm happy with what I've got. I got the sun in the morning and the moon at night. I got no silver, I got no gold. What I've got can't be bought or sold. I got the sun in the morning and the moon at night. Sunshine gives me a lovely day. Moonlight gives me the Milky Way. Got no checkbooks, I got no banks. There's plenty of reasons to give my thanks. I got the sun in the morning and the moon at night. With the sun in the morning and the moon in the evening, I'm alright. I got no butler, I got no maid. Still I feel like I'm overpaid. Got the sun in the morning and the moon at night. Sunshine gives me a lovely day. Moonlight gives me the Milky Way. Got no heirlooms to give my kin. Made no will, but when I cash in, I'll get the sun in the morning and the moon at night. They'll have the sun in the morning and the moon at night. And with the sun in the morning and the moon in the evening, we're all right.
Well, we're in the middle of, well, it's just actually the last day of our fall stewardship campaign. We've called it Gather in the Good. And my favorite part of the campaign is hearing testimonials from our congregation about why CSL Tahoe-Truckee is important to us. And we're going to have testimonials today from 2 teens from our center who had the privilege of attending the CSL Teen Camp at Cedar Ridge, Oregon last July. And so our first speaker is Alanya, or she prefers Lala, Willard Shambari. She's a high school sophomore. She's coming to us by Zoom from Monterey, California. So welcome, Lala.
Hello. I don't know if you guys can hear me. Can you hear me? Are you able to hear? Are you able to hear me?
Lala's speaking first, so yeah, you're good. We have our AV team is
I can hear you on Zoom, but I don't know if I
doing
can
a
hear
great
you.
job here.
Oh, hi, Carol. Oh, there we go. Hi. Can you guys hear me?
Huh.
Progress. There we go. Welcome, Lala.
Hi. Good morning. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you guys for having me on here. I wanted to speak about the summer camp at Center Ridge. It was a wonderful experience for me. I am super glad that I went there. I'm very grateful for this church here for being able to send me to the camp. It was very kind, and I'm very grateful that I was able to go. I was super happy that I was able to meet wonderful people at camp, and it really felt like home to me. I was able to meet my people. It was a new kind of feeling that I had never experienced before. I just felt very loved and welcome. There was awesome workshops that I was able to attend that I didn't even know that I needed until I was there. And they had a great part where you got to do a baptism, but it wasn't a regular baptism. It was a baptism for what you needed. And it was whatever you needed in that baptism, you were able to receive. And it was just wonderful. I don't know what else to say. But thank you.
All right. Thank you, Lala. Yeah, she sent us a wonderful thank you note too. That's in the by the administrator's desk. If you want to go take a look at that as well. So, but our second teen is right here with us in the sanctuary, Luna Hack, and so she went there. This was the first time in person to teen camp for both girls, and but Luna had something special happen to her while she was there that she'll share about as well. Luna.
Not bad. Okay, so I didn't write anything down because you guys know I'm best when I come from the heart. I think a lot of you know that. So I went to Cedar Ridge this past summer, and of course I'm a teenager, so I was like, oh, it's just gonna be this teen camp. I'm gonna want to go home the whole time. Oh my god, like it's just gonna be a bunch of God stuff, and I'm not, and I was just not super excited. But then I got there, and I didn't really know anybody, and I hadn't seen Lala in a long time, but I just got there, and I was kind of lonely at first. And then we got put into families, and I still kind of have this, like, I'm kind of on my high horse, and and then we do this workshop, and I'm there, and I'm like, wait a minute, why am I acting like myself? Why am I not putting this person that's not me and showing it off to those people? Why am I being myself? And, I was like, wait a minute, I'm comfortable. And so that experience kind of led me on this journey at camp where I got to be the goofy self that I know a lot of the people know me here as, since you guys know me since I was like 3. So, I was just like being myself, and I was so comfortable, and I was like, I need this, and I was like, oh, Grandma was right. Told me so, huh? So I was like, it was just an unworldly experience, and it was like so loving. I had never experienced that kind of love before, and I was really lacking in it for a long time. So it was really what I needed. So, I joined the leadership. I decided literally the day before, I was like, I'm going to join leadership. I need to be in this. So I am a teen leader for CSL. I am part of the group of teen leaders that organize both winter and summer camps, as well as like events like Bring a Friend to Teen Group. But it's wonderful, I'm so grateful for it. I'm so grateful that I had the opportunity to go there and discover a version of myself that I hadn't met in a long time. So I'm in leadership. We had a workshop planning this past weekend, not this weekend, but the weekend before. 5-hour Zoom call. You can remember those from 2020. It was super fun, but it was just a bunch of wonderful people coming together and making workshops so people can get over things. I think that's the main thing that draws me to being in teen leadership, is helping people get over what they need to release. So I'm a teen leader, and I'm going to continue to keep doing that. And I love it.
Yeah, I hear these great things, and so the only thing that'll make it even better is if we have a teen group here at CSL Tahoe-Truckee. So that's the next prayer, right? That'll be cool. So we have we have a update on our pledge program from Brenda Heldoorn, our board treasurer.
Thank you, Luna. Thank you, Lala, and Reverend Pam. That's amazing. So, as Reverend Pam mentioned, today is the last day of our fall stewardship campaign. This is the whole process. If you haven't been here through the whole thing, this is the process where we invite you to fill out a pledge card that informs us of your commitment to the community for next year, for 2023. And we have some blank pledge cards around that we would invite you to fill out and participate in the divine flow, because your support for our community helps us to, those of us who are on the board who prepare the budget and we practice good stewardship for the community, will be able to prepare a budget for next year knowing what has been committed to. And that will allow us to come up with programs and events and wonderful community gatherings that we would like to do for next year, for 2023, that we're really looking forward to. So this is an opportunity for you to participate in the divine flow, in making a commitment to your spiritual community, that we are all here to support and lift each other up. And I appreciate it so much. I'm so grateful. And today's little festive celebration is just that. It's a celebration for the season, for the gathering in the good. And I'm looking at the good right now in front of me. And I'm so blessed by all of you. Thank you.
All right. So, and when you have, if you haven't turned in your form yet, you can turn it in over in the joy box over there. That's where we're putting them, and we'll see what it is. Today is and we have our potluck afterwards, and for the harvest party. So make sure that you join us. And I think we have some extras if you didn't bring something today. So you're welcome to join us. But also if you're online, we'll have hospitality time online as well. But now is our prosperity time for today. So your donations, as Brenda said, are the way that you can support us in all of the work that we do to supporting our vision of embracing all and serving with love while awakening to the one. So if you would please take your gift for the day and read our prosperity affirmation along with me. It's a little bit different today. I gratefully and joyfully share my offering, which flows from God, my infinite source. As a committed giver, I give freely of my whole self. My gift blesses this center and all who are guided, healed, and empowered by its activities. And so it is. Oh, are you going to do this one? Yep.
Let's do that. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
Great, deep gratitude that we accept these blessings that are received from that infinite flow, and we learn to assimilate it and to release it and to do good in the world. We are so grateful for all the people that are here and all the lives that are blessed by the activities of this center, knowing that it is all God and it is all good, and so it is. All right. So we have thank yous. I'm going to try and keep the announcement short because we're running long today with all of our testimonials, which were great. Thank you so much. So I want to thank both Lala online and Luna that's here in the sanctuary. We have Zoom hosting, Michael and Diana. We're here. It's a great team. Brenda Heldoorn for being our practitioner and giving our update on the pledge. Our Tuck Wilson for our music, perfectly chosen for the morning. We have our party set up. So Nancy O'Neill and Penny were here, and I think Sue's helped some. And so there's lots of good things out there. And we have I want to especially thank Sue Pipel this year for the e-bike tours that she set up over the year. That was a lot of work, and she kept everyone ending up in the right place at the right time. And but it's done for the year. There's gonna be rain and snow on Tuesday. But come back in the spring. We'll start again. And then also I want to thank Shirley Nelson for handling the winter warmth and wellness, the bins where you can place all of your goods that you want to donate and are right out here. And she's going to make sure that it all gets over to United for Action where they're going to be giving it out. And also if you want to, you can also write a check for Tahoe Table, what is it made out to? Tahoe Neighborhood Table, and write WWW in the line for Winter Warmth and Wellness, and that'll also support that effort. Okay, so and by popular demand, we're going to go through the announcements a little bit quicker. So next Sunday, There's No Place Like Home. Our theme is Living Everyday Wonder, Home, for the month of November, appropriate. I'll be speaking. Musician is Jim Inglesmith, and the practitioner will be Nancy Heldoorn. We fall back for daylight savings times next week, so you get an extra hour of sleep unless you want to get up and come to the meditation, and then that will be good too. We have all of our announcements are on the website, and they are in the newsletter that we get each week. So that's the best way to know what's going on, the times and everything. And if you're not getting the newsletter, just fill out the form over there, welcome card, and we'll add you. And our recordings are placed on the website and on our YouTube channel. We had the Winter Warmth and Wellness we've already talked about. November 13th is our new member welcoming Sunday. So we'll have be welcoming our new members that are there after our discovery class this week or last week. We have our November 13th is our heart math class with Jim Igglesmith, certified heart math trainer. And this is one of the way that science is melding with spirituality and ways that we can learn to open up our hearts and align our head and our heart. So come learn how to do that. It's going to be quite interesting. Love offering. We have our Thanksgiving potluck on November 20th. That's always our big Sunday of the year. And next, for the holidays, we have the Red Tent, November 21st. It's a Monday. It's going to be their next time. They're changing their date and also avoiding Thanksgiving, so that's good for them. We also, in December, we have on the 18th, we have our annual party at Donna Axton's house on a Sunday night. And on Friday night, December 23rd, we have our Christmas candlelight service. So please join us for that. There won't be a regular service that Sunday. So lots of things to look ahead. So just mark those off, save those dates, and we look forward to seeing you. And we also have our drop-in classes that you can look online for those details. So we want to bless our children. So we see you, we hear you, we love you. You are a gift from God, and so it is. All right. So our practitioners are here to support you. So if you need prayer, please see one of them. And so we have Brenda Heldoorn was the practitioner on duty. Michael Brandman is in the back. He's a practitioner. And Carol Heldoorn is online. I'm also a practitioner. Did I pick? Oh, and Nancy O'Neill is here too. I think she's cooking right now. But so they'll be glad to pray with you for a 5-minute miracle, or you can make an appointment online, or just put a prayer request in the box. They all work because prayer makes a difference. And so now we're going to stand in place so we can read the words while we sing our song in affirmation. Are you doing this one?
All together, hand in hand, we see the light, we take a stand, and we are changing. A whole new life for you and me. Take your past and set it free. Share this blessing. Love be with you. Peace enfold you. Spirit lift you. Breathe it in. Truth come through you. Make good flow to you. Let joy renew you till we meet again. All together, hand in hand, we see the light, we take a stand, and we are changing. A whole new life for you and me. Take your past and set it free. Share this blessing. Love be with you. Peace enfold you. Spirit lift you. Breathe it in. Truth come through you. Make good flow to you. Let joy renew you till we meet again. Love be with you.
There we go. I trust and live in the infinite flow of abundant good, and so it is. Thank you all.